So now I have the privilege of introducing our presenters today who are going to present disability rights, ableism, and advocacy. We have Lisa, Uli, and Sandy joining us from the Self-Advocacy Association of New York State. So on that note, I'm going to toss it over to our presenters. We're so excited and happy to have all of you here with us today. So turning it over to you.
All right, ladies, would you like to introduce yourselves while I pull up the slides?
Oh, hello, my name is Uri Ramos. I am a self-advocate and a grassroots field assistant from Self-Advocacy, New York, Westchester region.
You want to describe yourself, Uli?
Sure, I'm sorry, I forgot about that. I'm a white Latina person, a woman, around age 55, have a blue gray shirt on with a horse printed in the phone. And welcome everybody. Today we will talk about disability rights and Ableism and advocacy.
Right. Why don't we let Lisa introduce herself?
Yes.
Hi everyone, I'm Lisa Severino from Tanny's Self-Advocacy Association, New York State, and in the New York City, Westchester region as a grassroots field assistant, and I'm a middle-aged white woman with short, light brown hair with brown round glasses, and I'm wearing a purple shirt, and I'm in my office downtown Manhattan. And it's Sandy.
Thank you, Lisa. My name is Sandy Mislow, and I'm the regional coordinator for the Sandy's New York City and Westchester office. I am also a white middle-aged woman. I have short, kind of shaggy gray hair, very gray. I'm wearing a pink dress with like orange flowers and stripes on it. And I guess in the background, there's some colorful squares on a wall kind of thing. Anyway, so that's who we are. All right, ladies, I'm going to forward to the next slide.
Okay.
That's us.
We already did that.
Mhm.
Okay, today we will talk about what is ableism, then self-advocacy, speaking up against ableism, and then we wrap it up. Next slide.
Okay, guys, now let's have a little history of our organization. Little bit. Now, the Self-Advocacy Association was founded to empower people with disability, with developmental disability, and to speak up from their lives, speak up the human and civil rights. Sunny also teach local groups with vision how to educate legislatures. By doing that, go to Albany and talk to our senators and basically tell our stories about what's going on in our life and how the services inspire us to become who we are. And also, and yeah, and do dependent living, which most of us want to have a dependent living. I mean, dependent living, like living in our own homes, apartments, if we want to. It's about personal choice, basically. That sum it up. It's about personal choice about what you want and need with your services. And we make sure to get that point across to senators. I've going to I've go to Albany in legislature day and talk to them about stuff like that. We do that many ways, and we do that with our board members also in our organization. Okay.
Do you want to mention a
Joe,
couple
I'm
that
sorry.
Sandy's has done
Joe,
historically?
Sunny also did Berna Carroll was a Willowbrook survivor, joined with 12 other self-advocates to create the Self-Advocacy Association of New York State. Sunny also did a lot of advocacy to change stuff that we did think it was right. And one of them is board self-directed to NYC, but also we suggest to OPWDD to change the original name Omar DD to OPWDD because we did think was right to have that word, the R word, which is retired in our at the agency that serve our services.
Oops.
Okay. What can people say and do to you in the past that make you feel uncomfortable? For example, being told what to do as an adult, or being spoken to like a child, or having to go to a program every day that you didn't like, or having to use a toilet with someone else always there with you, and wanting to eat a donut or a cinnamon roll for breakfast and being told no. Next.
Well, did you want to ask if there was anyone in the audience who wanted to share
Yeah.
something?
Anyone in the audience want to share what happened to you if you feel uncomfortable?
Anyone? We do like our presentations to be interactive because it just makes them more fun. So, feel free throughout any of these slides to, put your hand up. Tracy will let us know, and feel free to share any personal experiences or comments or thoughts that you have. But we'll move on here. I don't think anybody wants to share.
Okay, now we will talk about what ableism means.
Ableism is a form of discrimination. The false idea that disabled people are not the full and pure when the truth when in truth disability is just another way for a mind and or a body to be. Next.
what do you think they want? To make our own decision. Formation, I can answer. To be treated with respect. This Let's look at this cartoon. It's a great sample mismo. Instead of the doctor asking his patients or the people behind him what they want, he asked a colleague who got no idea what they want. Instead of asking the people who is behind him who probably are there to see him. So that is mismo. Asking somebody else, and we have that all the time with when we go to restaurants. Sometimes our aides, the waiter asks the aides. So that is also mismo.
Okay.
Okay.
Ableism. Assume a person with a disability can do something on their own, or talking to a person with a disability like a child. And in
Institutionalization.
institutionalization in able buildings,
Inaccessible.
accessible buildings, talking about a person with a disability instead of directly to them, using the R word, running to open the door for someone without asking, texting people who are broken, talking for a person with a disability, forcing sterilization. So I'm telling you I'm telling you my experience of ableism. I was about 8 or 9 years old. I used to go with my parents, sitting on the stoop with our neighbors to socialize. So I went with the girls, my age old girls, but they talked to me in a baby voice talk like I'm a baby. And I said to myself, I'm probably a year older than you. Why you talking to me like that? So I laugh because they treat me like a baby. Now here is Wally.
Well, my story is about I was about 32 years old when it happened, and my mom got sick of a terminal needing of cancer. And my family, her family, her sisters and her niece and nephew decided that because they knew that I wanted to come back here, and I guess they did trust me enough. I don't know, but and I was 32. They should hardly talk to me about it. they decided that they want me to do a best. They decided that they should get me to do a best standing, a operation where I cannot have any more children. So they decide, but the funny part is they decide beyond them with themselves instead of asking me. Mind you, I was 32 years old at the time. I was a full-grown adult, I think. And they did ask me about it. And they asked my first MSC at the time, which happened to be a friend of the family, about it too. But she stopped them right in the cold because she told them that it cannot be done. Because if they go to court, which usually will go to court, the judge will tell them that they would see me and talk to me probably about it and see that I'm intelligent enough to know what it is and how to proceed. And I'm not, but anyway, that's my Ableism story about it, which make me feel actually maybe that I couldn't do anything right, that was useless, that I can't even make my own decision in my own life, even when I was 32 years old. And that hurts that your own family would do that to you because I thought they knew me, I thought they knew me somehow well enough to know that they should have asked me first before they have all these plans and all that. So basically, that is. Thank you.
Okay. And the Mango model is based on an idea that something is wrong. Wait, sorry. Wrong. Ableism based on a Mango model of disability. In this slide, the Mango model is pointed backwards. Behind me. Behind us. That was the model followed in the past. The social model of disability is pointing forward. And that's the direction that we want to go in. Next slide.
So the medical model disability. This is how disability was told in the past. It's by the person being at fault, not by the environment, not about anything else. And the concept different. So, and it's a saying here, it's when because something is different, it's not that bad. So basically, that one was before. That was the bad. That was before. That way, that what you were taught about disability. You don't want to go back. We want to go forward to the other one. And basically the person with a fault. And like I was saying before, because something is different, it's not that bad. It's not bad. So
Next slide.
Keep going. All right.
Okay. The social model is where people want to be. It's based on the idea that social model, social barriers like the environment, attitude, and social organization disable us, not our disability. Now, let's watch a short video explaining the mega model and social model of disability.
Oops. It's quiet at first. There will be sound.
According to the medical model of disability, the word disabled means less able. Less able to achieve your potential, less able to have meaningful relationships, less able to play an active part in the world around you, and that this is just your bad luck. This outdated view of the world puts the responsibility of overcoming disabling barriers on the person with an impairment. But this idea is changing. The more modern social model of disability says that a person doesn't have a disability, but that they are disabled. They are disabled by society. It is the attitudes and physical barriers imposed on them by society that prevents them from achieving their potential. The social model was developed by disabled people and their allies to help them take action against discrimination and to empower people to find solutions, remove barriers, and campaign together for equality and human rights. They showed how people with lots of different impairments face many of the same problems. These disabling barriers include prejudiced opinions and attitudes, restricted access, and people being systematically excluded. The social model looks for the ways that society can be planned and organised in order to provide accessibility, independence, and opportunity in a way that enables people rather than disables them. What we learn from the social model of disability is that disability is a social construct created by social barriers, barriers which can be eliminated. We learn that it is the responsibility of government, public spaces, businesses, and individual people to make the changes, to increase the access, and build a more equal society where everyone has the opportunity to reach their full potential.
Okay. What do you guys think about this video? Any thought, comments?
Anyone's welcome to share any opinions or thoughts. But I see that we're working with a very quiet group today.
Well, I won't be quiet. I will just share. I've never seen that video before, and I just was looking up that organization. I really liked the way that it was presented, and I liked the art. I like learning visually, so I think that that video kind of presented things in a way visually that was easy for me to absorb. I liked it.
Excellent. That was the whole purpose.
Yeah.
Thanks for the feedback. Oops.
Okay. Has anyone ever heard of
Benevolent.
benevolent ableism or well-intentioned ableism? And what does that mean? Anyone?
Okay. Visual typically good ones. Good. Intentional set by people with disability. Often intentionally, by trying to help, but by doing so, feed into the statement that people with disability as able as everyone. And why we have Minnie Mouse cartoon there, I could explain it. Because we are try to say that you want to save that day and you want help and you don't want to hurt them, but in a way it is hurting the person because is that stigma of hurtful, but you don't really want to. And also sometimes they got comments back, back, worse comments like you don't even look disabled. You are so lucky. Don't have a don't have a I have to walk. Sorry about that. You're so lucky that you don't have to walk. Sorry. Again. It's so good to see you out today. And truly, as so many people, and this is the most important part, so many people with disability need help with everything. And treat people with disability as completely everyday task is heroic. So let's say you do a simple task of a day, and if somebody think, wow, you did, that's great, congratulations. That's not helping either.
Yeah, that's ableism.
Yes.
Well-intentioned.
Yes.
It's
Well
coming from,
intention, but
but-
you don't, yeah, well intention, but it's not way we want. We don't want your feel sorry for us. We want your respect. And people telling which they should not to ask question by a person they see with a disability. And I think parents meant well, but you know what? That's not helping. We are really talk about our disability because that's how we learn from each other. That's how a society goes. And that child might talk to their, we might not have so much like the R word, because most of the time in schools, you hear the R word. And sometimes if you could teach a child that it's okay to ask a person by a disability, there's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with us. It's just we are who we are, and the child will learn this is the normal, and ableism will be stopped.
I just wanted to share, there was a remark that came in, just this was regarding the video, that they liked the voice.
Oh,
And
okay.
Can I ask you a question though, Uli, if I may?
Sure.
You know, what you just said, you know, I'm wondering if, you know, parents, when you said, you know, it's okay for a child to ask someone about their disability, for you, what would be an example of something a parent could do to teach their child of a way to ask someone about their disability? What should a parent say to a kid?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Don't be afraid of us. We're not contagious. Our disability not passed on by it's not contagious. And I think a lot of people, a lot of parents might think we are contagious, that we might pass it to if they start talking to us. Or maybe they don't want to because they don't want to make that person feel they meant well, but they don't want to make that person feel bad. It's okay. It doesn't make us feel bad or worse. It makes us feel okay to talk about it because a child is curious. A child is a curious thing, and we want to teach children about this. That way, when they deal with somebody in their life, because they will deal with somebody with some type of disability out there, and we want to teach them that it's okay to act with them, to pay with them, to do whatever, to not feel afraid of us because we have a disability. Because many times in schools, kids have disability, and other kids might stay away from us because they are scared of us, which it should not be like that. We all want to be part of the community. That's how the community is based on.
Thank you.
Well, you know what, Lisa, did you want to add anything?
No.
No, okay.
Neighbors that are tended to help by extend reinforce ableism culture and values and make disabled people feel even more singled out and capable. Pushing somebody with a wheelchair without asking if they want or need your help. Excuse bad behavior because of a disability. Oh, I've been there. That one I've been to a lot. Often ancestry health advice. Overly passing a disabled person for completing a simple task. Never criticize us or without withholding the truth because we are disabled. Taking away our autonomy by making decisions for us.
Acting with good intention doesn't always mean that your actions aren't harmful. Every time a disabled person is completely on how inspired they are. One group of people is
Objectified.
objectified for the benefit of other group of people. The
Implication.
implement is that the able person is more capable and knows what we need more than we do. Often when we reject
Benevolent.
often we are viewed as ungrateful and
Sensitive.
Sensitive, thank you. This behavior is often defined as
Praiseworthy.
praiseworthy and kind-hearted. It gives the message that you feel sorry for people with disability. You deserve your respect, not your pity. Next.
Okay. How does ableism affect you as a person with a disability? Do you think you ever experienced ableism? How
If-
How did it make you feel? How do you respond when it happened? What do you say or do? Anybody?
Yeah, is there anyone in the audience who has a disability who has ever experienced any of the examples or any form of ableism before that you would like to share and talk about how it made you feel? Nobody, no takers.
Very quiet.
It is a very quiet group. I agree. Okay. Well, Uli and Lisa, I know you guys both shared examples that you have experienced in the past. Do you want to talk a little bit more about just overall how it makes you feel?
Well, I would say useless for me.
Useless.
Useless.
Hmm.
Why? Because to me, it's like I cannot make my own decision. And I'm an adult. And why am I? And I should know, I should be able to because I know myself better than anybody else. But that is how I feel. Lisa?
With me, people hear my voice think that I don't have enough intelligence, that I need people to talk baby talk to me. But actually, I hate that. I really don't like the way they talk to me. And most of the time, I'm older than they are, but I have a mind, and it works just like everyone else, but in a different way.
Thanks for sharing that, Lisa.
And I will just add, there was a comment that came in from someone who said in reaction to your question, I was sad.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about self-advocacy. And speaking of yourself, what is self-advocacy? Anyone?
All right, why don't you tell everybody?
Okay, speaking up for our rights and for others who need help speaking up, making choices, leading your life the way you want, speaking up when something is wrong, having the right to say no. Next slide.
And I will just share, there was a comment that came in that said, speaking for yourself.
Yeah,
Okay.
good.
You might be asking yourself, how can I overcome ableism? We're going to tell you.
Okay. Here is some gentle tips. Making choices as much as possible throughout the day. You might have to ask staff for help. Learning how to speak up in different situations through role plays. Practice speaking up in different situations in front of a mirror. Talking about different coping strategies with your self-advocacy group. Next slide.
Try to make friends with others. Try to make friends with a friend. Learn how to compromise.
Being open to listen and learn from others, getting to know each other. Don't assume you know the person by looking at them. Speaking up for yourself, especially in a restaurant or doctor's office.
And I will just share, we got a couple of other remarks just about self-advocacy and what folks think it is. And I have learn the rights that protect you. And then another comment is just socializing, a part of socializing.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Great points.
yes. It's okay when somebody encouraged you to make a good decision. Somebody ask you if you want help. It's not okay when somebody tell you what to do or what decision to make. Somebody assume you want help and does it without asking. Not okay.
And finally, believing in yourself. That way, others will believe in you. Next slide.
Well, we're going to skip this next one.
Okay.
Okay.
And go straight to point.
Thank you for letting us do this, and thank you for listening. Is anyone have any questions?
So everyone tuning in, please feel free to enter your questions for our presenters in the Q&A. I have a remark, and I think it's a question that came in that I'm going to share. So this says, it starts off, it says, however, I think that we should be very careful when using ableism all the time. A lot of people with intellectual disabilities are not able to reach the level advocating as Uli and Lisa, as the two presenters is what they say. They're not able to make independent decisions. I have come across that staff of programs use the whole action about ableism, use slogan of decision making by people with disabilities, and for example, do not take them for a walk or to therapeutic classes, explaining that the person with a disability did not want to, and they need to listen to them. This is coming from a family member. So this person is saying, in my family member's case, it was completely obvious that in this case, it was the staff who did not want to make the effort to take the person outside. And then this person goes on to say, I think that it should be considered that the issue of intellectual level of the person with the disability should be introduced into this aspect of ableism. So I guess maybe if I can frame this into a question, Uli and Lisa, for someone that has higher support needs, what is your thought about that person being able to advocate? And are there any tips or strategies for someone that has a higher level of support, how they can be supported with advocacy and self-advocacy and decision making?
Well, the person, that is a person. We all want to be like a person. And yeah, they have higher needs, more support, but they could think for themselves in different ways. They could advocate, like people who can't talk, they do pantomime like I did growing up before I spoke. Learn how to talk. But that person can, they have feelings too. And probably take a lot more time to get it out. But if you're patient enough, then they will know, okay, I could say what I want.
And also remember, and I think the staff also had to be about speaking. Not everyone could speak like we are right now. Everyone had their own way to express a way they feel. Some people do it with body language. Some people do it with a trotter. You have the trick is ask that person if they want to do it. Even the most like we say, the couples disability, the most we all have choice, whatever that is for that person or the family member. And remember, there is a brain working there. I always say this when I do presentation. A baby have feeling. A baby does have feeling when they were born. What can a person with a disability have them? We all have them. It's just you had to ask and find a way to communicate, even though it's not quote unquote traditional way, not like me or of us speaking right now. And remember, even a tantrum is a way they are even if they have behavior problems, like put it that way. Maybe that is the way they communicate because nobody else. They're so frustrated that nobody listening to them. And that is and sometimes you had to, the staff or whoever is helping them had to understand that they still had the right to express themselves. We all had, that is a human right for everybody, even the most complex disability out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Uli and Lisa. Everything that both of you said was spot on. And I just want to add on, I have a background, not only am I a parent of 2 kids who have disabilities and who went through school with IEPs, but I'm also a former special ed teacher. And my specialty area when I taught was working with kids who had severe and profound cognitive and physical impairments. And for all those years that I worked with those phenomenal kids who I just adored, they, just like Uli said, everybody communicates. Not everybody uses words or, talks to communicate, but everyone communicates, even if it's, whether it's through, through eye gaze or facial expression or waving a hand or gesturing, like Lisa said. Everyone communicates, and even people who have lower cognitive levels, they still have they still are able to make choices. It's important for people, with all people, whether they have disabilities or not, to be able to make choices through their day of what are they going to eat and what are they, what do they want to do. And as far as the staff person deciding, I don't feel like going out, so we're not going out, um, you know, a lot rides on the staff. A good staff person is going to know the person that they're supporting, and they're going to know how that person communicates. And a good DSP or a good staff person is going to check in and ask in a way that they know the person receiving services is going to understand. Even if it's showing a picture outside versus inside and putting them both up and saying, which one do you want? Do you want to go outside or you want to go inside? And seeing if they can look at which picture they want. There's tons of ways to get creative with communication, even with people who are not verbal. But a lot also does rely on the staff. And we do this presentation for staff members as well, and for teachers and for parents. We tweak it a little bit, but it's essentially the same information. But it a lot, depends on how good is the staff person and how much effort are they going to make in trying to really find out what the person wants. So I hope between the three of us, we all answered your question. But I can also tell you that the people who come to, like, we have monthly regional meetings and we have annual conferences and we do a lot of stuff. The people who come to all of our things, they are not all like Uli and Lisa. They are not all ambulatory. They are not all verbal, but they are still very active, and they come to our events and our meetings, and they express themselves in whatever way they know how, and their staff helps them communicate. But self-advocacy is for all ability levels and all people, whether they have disabilities or not, really. So, thanks.
I think that's a really important point that you just shared, Sandy. So thank you. And thank you, Lisa and Uli. I think just sharing with the whole audience, and then specifically the person who asked the question about, who comes to the SANI's meetings, and that it is open to anyone, regardless of their level of support that they need.
Absolutely.
There's a couple more questions, but there is just a couple of comments. I think, Sandy, this was regarding when you were talking about different ways that people communicate. Someone also suggested there are folks that use sign language, and someone also made a remark that people with a disability should be independent and open with one another. So I wanted to share those several remarks that came in. There is our next question is for you, Uli and Lisa, and it says, do the speakers have jobs? So I think folks are interested to know about your work.
Yes, we work at trainings as a grassroots field assistant. We do like those presentations, and we also do teach a course called Painting You, and we mentor
Doreen.
yeah, help self-advocates be leaders, help them learn how to be leaders in their own right. So we're here to help people.
And also for me personally and professionally, I also do presentation in Spanish. So that also my job beside what Lisa say. Thank you.
Do each of you guys want to share how many years you have been, both have been working with SANI's, have been employees, paid employees?
Me, I've been here since 2008. It's like 17 years.
Mine is 18 years, and in October, coming up this year, it's gonna be 19 years.
But you guys also had jobs before this.
Yes,
Yes.
I had a job with a agency school called the Birch Family Services. I helped build the school from age 3 with my parents helped start the school. And I was one of 5 students.
And I was in a gap before I joined self-advocacy for a few years. And I decided to walk away from that job because of personal issue, because Mama got sick and she needed me at home. So that's why.
Thank you both. Our next question is, it says, I have a class of students here. They want to know if the speakers have children, and if so, if it's difficult to raise them.
No, I don't have any children, and I'm not even married. I keep saying I'm married to my job because I've been a self-advocate and well, they say since I was born, actually since my parents told me about my disability at very young age.
I'm not married and don't have children.
I have 2 children. They're both adults, 21 and 25, and it was very difficult to raise them, and it still is difficult to support them when they need help from mom. So, there you go.
Thank you. I think this next one is maybe more of a comment, but I'll just share it. I want to make, I think it says comment, if someone with a disability asks for help, we should only help them in the area in which they requested. And I know this was part of your presentation. And this person says, once a blind man asked me to help him cross the street and reached my arms and tapped his shoulder to help him cross. He got scared and somewhat upset. He said, just let me hold your elbow. Once he crossed, I offered more help and he said, no, I already know in which direction I need to walk. So I don't know if there's anything that you all want to add just about offering help, and it should only be offered if you're asked for help.
My father was fine when he was alive for a few years, and he always told me just offer if someone asks you for help, like crossing the street, just let them know where your hand or elbow is. Let them reach out to you.
I also wanted to add in, it's okay to ask a person with a disability, do you need help? Do you need help with opening the door? Do you need help with getting onto the subway train? It's okay to ask. What's not okay is to just run in front. Like if you see a person using a walker or wheelchair or someone who has a hard time walking towards a door, if you were to run up ahead of the person and quickly open the door for them, that's ableism, because you're not asking, you're making an assumption that they are not able to do it by themselves.
Yeah.
And that's offensive. But if you, like I saw someone yesterday, I saw a blind man who was about to get on the subway train, and I asked, would you like any help, or do you need any help in getting onto the train? Because there's a lot of people here. And then the person said, no, thank you, I got it. But he was very friendly, but I asked. I didn't just assume that the person needs help. And I think that's really that's the main point of it, is just don't ever assume that somebody needs help. Just ask, do you need help? And give them the opportunity to say yes or no.
I mean, I agree with Sandy. You always ask. I mean, when I see somebody and somebody's kind of lost, I ask them, do you need help? And they would tell me no or yes or whatever, or I got it. I'm like, no problem. But the trick is that word, I hate that word, because you assume something that's not there. Sometimes it's not there. That person is capable of doing it. Sometimes just ask is the right thing. Be curious. My mom always told me that you had to be nice and proper and ladylike. Of course, like, I don't think I am like, but that's a different story. But what she meant was ask. Don't assume anything because you don't know about the person. A person could be walking down the street and I give you an example by myself. People, unless they hear me talking or they hear me talking, they don't even know that I have a disability. They don't even know that if I have it or not have a disability, because my disability invisible. Invisible me hide. And unless they talk to me and they realize it or something happens, then they're going to realize. But most of the time they don't. They think I'm like everybody else, which I am like everybody else actually. But my point is you cannot assume that person doesn't have a disability or have or not or need help, because they could handle it sometimes. Unless you ask nice. That's what we all want.
Thank you. Our next question is, I think this is a decision-making advocacy related question. So what happens if you don't like your pre-vocational program and you want to go to a trade veterinary school, right? So like what happens if you're in a program, you don't like it and you want to go to a different program? Any advice for this person?
So talk to his MSc,
Care manager.
care manager. Sorry, I always say MSc, but it's care manager now. Care manager, and really tell them that he want to go to veteran school, and even if the care manager don't say, listen, go to let's go to the next level. We always say take steps into it, because sometimes people think, well, you're not gonna make it to veteran school because you don't know how to read or write. Then you're like, well, then give me a program where I learn how to read and write. I mean, I know it's gonna take me a while, but that's okay. One was not be in the day, put it that way, which means take time sometimes, and take steps. And if you think that your care manager is not listening to you, go to her boss. If it get to a point where you're frustrated and nobody's helping you, go to your boss and go up, 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 up. Like we always say in self-advocacy, steps. And if those it, then if you don't like that agency, you could always find another agency to support you. Doesn't mean because you have a disability, doesn't mean your dreams are down in the dumps. No, you still could have dreams. You still could be successful on your dreams. You just had to put one person believe in you, it make the whole world. So do it, whatever you need to do.
Yeah, thank you. The next one is, I believe, more of a comment, but it says, everyone communicates. Although people from the outside world must be willing to listen and have the ability to listen, yes, as it has been said, a good person will do anything to communicate with a given person. Yes, a lot depends on the person of the staff. That's right. I think that was in relation to an earlier conversation. Next question is, do you guys get paid? Do you get paid for what you do?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
It's a real job.
Yes.
A job. And you get paid at a job, right? So we get paid.
Thank you. The next is from, it says, hi there, I work for Include NYC, and we help support families with children with disabilities and the professionals who support them. They are a parent center who helps with advocacy, special education, and community resources. their services are free for families, and they support folks from birth to 26 years old. If anybody's interested in learning more, you can go to includenyc.org. I know us at YI, we're very familiar with Include NYC, a great organization. I don't know if Sanny's, if you are all familiar with Include NYC, but yeah, anybody tuning in, check out includenyc.org. They have some really great information on their website. I think they also still have a call center where you can call and folks will answer your call and support folks that way. But you all are familiar with Include NYC too?
Oh, yes. And we're actually involved in a transition initiative that it's this whole big project that Alex Elagudin is heading up. And they're working together with the Department of Ed, the New York City Department of Ed, to create these different videos, to create educational videos and materials for parents having to do a transition. So we definitely, we're very familiar with Include NYC.
Oh, that's very cool. And the last comment that I have, which I think this is appropriate to close with, and it says, "We are not perfect, but we are smart." That was a remark that came in. And one more, just because we have a disability, it doesn't mean that we can't have fun.
Amen.
And I think just one last call, if there's any additional questions. I know I see some reactions kind of popping up, but I think that's all of our remarks and questions. So Sandy, Lisa, and Uli, I just want to say thank you so much for your time and for putting together a really amazing presentation. You know, I know we recorded this and someone had asked earlier about slides. So for everybody tuning in, we will be sure to share the recording and a PDF of these really amazing slides. Such really great information, and thank you for sharing you know, some of your personal stories. I think that's obviously really resonated with the audience, and we just really appreciate your time. And for everybody tuning in, you will receive a follow-up email with a feedback survey. We would love it if you completed the feedback survey. That helps us plan future presentations. And certainly, if you have ideas for future presentations, definitely let us know. But Sandy, Lisa, and Uli, thank you so much for your time. This was really great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Being us.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye-bye.